Coming up on the Underground Nation podcast, Bounce Ball Boogie, your host with the ghost, sits down with horrorcore's rising force GuttaPriest. From dark beats to chilling lyrics, they explore the mind behind the madness. Don't miss this exclusive interview as they dive deep into the shadows of hip-hop's underground. Turn up the volume and lock in. This is the conversation fans have been waiting for. Available now on Underground Nation Podcast.
Yeah, bro. So you're saying you're delivery, but like for a company or for yourself?
A little bit of both.
Oh, okay. So I know I was doing what you call it in those printer vans. We were doing like freight brokering for a minute.
Okay.
And we were like bidding freight, and then go with our little sprinter van, pick up and drop off. It's little deliveries like within state or within state surrounding.
Yeah, usually not really anything out of state.
All right.
But then again, I mean, Texas is fucking massive, bro. Like, and a lot of people don't know the fastest way out is 9 hours from where I'm at.
Holy shit, where you at?
Like, all right, so if you look at a map and you look at Mexico, like
let me
right above Mexico, literally that's where I'm at.
Right above Mexico?
Yep, the southmost tip of Texas at the very bottom there. They call the area here the Rio Grande Valley, RGV.
Rio Grande Valley.
Yep. Everyone thinks San Antonio, South Texas, bro, but they don't even think about us. We're still Texas, bro. We're not in Mexico.
Let me see. So, like, down here by Matamoros?
Yeah, right above Matamoros is where I'm at.
No way.
Yep.
How is life there?
Honestly, man, it's kind of crazy, like the shit you see.
You're kind of close to the water. You go into Mexico. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, we got like I think like 30 minutes. We get to the island. You go out to South Padre. I think it's like 45 minutes, honestly, just because like the drive out there's like just dead land, nothing out there and shit. I can get to Mexico in about 10 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen
anything wild? A lot of that shit started creeping across though, man. Like
that's what I was gonna say. What do you be seeing there?
Well, right down the street from where I work, I saw I thought it was garbage, bro. Like I literally thought they just threw garbage bags or whatever, but it was two dudes with bags over their heads, zip tied. Execution style, way. Bro. Yep. I used to be a butcher for like 3 years. And right down the street from where I work, they found a head in a mailbox.
What the freak?
Yep.
From where you work down there in the Rio?
Yeah. I used to work at a meat market down here.
So like they made their own little slaughterhouse out of this.
Yeah, basically, man. I mean, and the crazy part is where I live, like I'm not right next to the bridge or anything, right. But I'll go out back, have a cigarette or something, and I hear the gunshots between like Border Patrol and cartels and shit.
No way.
Yeah, no lies, dude. I hear it like almost every other night. You just hear ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And it's not semi-auto, bro. Like there's somebody shooting some shit. I think we heard a couple grenades go off. Like it's wild, yeah. And it's not just between Border Patrol and cartel, but sometimes the cartel and the cartel,
Right, yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So man, I was saying that I have never traveled that far south in my life. And when I first learned about GuttaPriest, you mentioned Chicago to Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be a huge change from.
Well, it's even bigger, man. Because I was from New York. I was born in New York.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to Chicago. Well, it's a suburb of Chicago. Chicago. They call it Iliana. It's right there, like right on the state line. It's a town called Hammond, Indiana, and it's like right. I mean, literally, 25-minute drive, 30-minute drive to Chicago.
No kidding.
Yep.
So from New York, Chicago, and now Southern Texas.
Yeah.
how do you feel that shaped your musical identity to what you are today?
Honestly, shoot, man. I mean, I'm heavily inspired by the East Coast, you know. Heavily inspired by East Coast rap, you know, Wu Tang, you know,
Yeah,
Jedi Mind
yeah.
Tricks, you know, even some Necro here and there, you know, fucking
Oh, fuck yeah.
all over the place up there. And then, of course, the Midwest, you know, talking Chicago, you know, that's where I get a lot of that, you know, ICP and all that, you know, Boondocks, you know, even Twisted. I know a lot of people hate, you know, between everything, but to me, it's like, yo, I grew up in the family era of hip hop, you know, when it came to psychopathic and, you know, ABK, you know, AMB, all that shit.
Yeah.
So like my mindset, I've always been stuck in that. And even like honestly, when I came back into the scene and shit, because I fell off completely from like social media for 5 years. Like I just said, fuck this shit, you know?
Yeah. Why was that?
And
Just people getting under your
basically,
skin?
yeah, no, it's not that. It's just that
Just some self
I,
development?
I just I felt like I was wasting a lot of time sitting on, you know, I was still making music, but like instead of looking for shows, I was scrolling through Facebook, you know, or instead of
Uh,
writing new bars, I was, you know, doing other shit. And I was just like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna take a 5 year break from the. Well, I didn't think 5 years. I thought it was just gonna be a couple weeks,
I
you know.
was going to take a
Next
break. It
thing you
just so
know,
happened to be 5 years.
yeah, it just so happened to be 5 years. And when I came back, that's when all the shit with ICP and Twisted happened. I was like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know because I had my shit from like 2008 and back. Like like all my CDs. If you look at them, basically 2000. I think the last thing I had from like physically had from ICP was Bang Pow Boom. That was like the last thing. Blaze was like Gang Rags,
Yeah.
stuff like that, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
And
I
then
was I was deeply involved in the family era as well.
yeah,
And so you're saying in those 5 years you weren't even tapping into like the Juggalo world. You weren't tapping into music, like getting into shows. You were
nope.
just
I was just like
closed off
completely
in
cut off
hiding.
from yeah. Basically, like I was just in survival mode. Basically, like
Is
you know, work, eat, sleep. You know,
shit.
yep. That was it. That was it. I mean, there was nothing like.
Occasional good porno
And,
programming.
and honestly, you know what? I didn't even have internet at the time, to be honest.
Oh
Like,
no porn,
could,
no porno at all.
yeah, I couldn't afford it. Well, yeah, it was a cell phone. You know what I mean? You always
Okay.
had a cell phone.
Found a way to sneak it in there.
Yeah.
So is that around the time that little 5 year lurking in the shadows? Is that around the time you were transitioning from Chronic Doom to GuttaPriest?
Well, and that's it's funny that you asked that because it actually had a couple more steps.
Okay.
So I went from Chronic Doom, which was basically, I want to say the first 8 years, I guess, maybe
Right.
7 years of me making music was Chronic Doom.
And
And
this was
then,
as your like a solo artist, not a group.
yeah, no. We had groups too. You know, when I first started, I made my own little label with a bunch of homies that I had down here. Because it's a funny story. When I lived up in Chicago, because I moved back up,
Yeah.
and I had a whole bunch of homies up there. Everybody was, you know, super down and shit. And then when I moved back down here, I didn't know because I came down all excited, like, hey, I'm gonna show my friends from back home all this psychopathic shit. And when I
Ooh.
came down, they already knew it. Like
Oh
they
shit.
had they ran into a homie. He used to live like in Wisconsin or some shit, and he moved here and he met them at the mall because he was looking for
Ooh.
Bud.
Wicked Wisconsin.
Yeah, so he ended up showing them, and then when I came down, I showed him everything else because he had just showed him like ICP Twisted. I showed him Rydas. I showed them fucking Dark Lotus. I showed them like everything, you know, and that's basically where we spent most of our time was just chilling, smoking, bumping that shit, you know. And
Yeah.
I started making music in 2010, and when I started, everybody else in my little group started. They obviously all fell off, you know, but for a while, you know, we had a lot of different artists. We had like two or three different groups going on, you know, like just a lot more than what's going on now. Now it's just me. and of course my producer Yoshi from Noise Complaint.
Hey, Yoshi. Whoop, whoop.
And now it's time to take you deeper into the darkness. This next track comes straight from the twisted mind of GuttaPriest. Turn the lights down, turn the volume up. This is Creepin, available now on all streaming platforms. You're locked in with the Underground Nation podcast. Let's go.
Creeping after midnight, I'm in the darkness creeping, try not to lose control. I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping. Creeping after midnight, I'm in the darkness creeping, try not to lose your soul. I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping. I'm in the darkness creeping while everybody else sleeping. I'm climbing up your balcony, I'm in your window peeping. I'm off the deep end, I'm hungry, haven't eaten. Try not to lose control of my soul, but I'm a cretin. I'm a creature of the beast of the night. While I bark at the moon, sprout wings and take flight to the other side. How many times have I died? Chilling in the coffin as I bide my time. You're gonna need a set of fangs if you bite my rhyme. You're gonna need a Justice League just to fight my crimes. I'm an animal cannibal, South Texas Hannibal. Chopping my foes while they're stuck in my mandible. Understandable, so you can have a nice day. Take a sabbatical while I feast on my prey. I can hear them scream as I drag you away. The real Grand Dracula, gonna let the blood spray. Creeping after midnight, I'm in the darkness creeping, try not to lose control. I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping, I'm in the darkness creeping. Creeping after.
So would you say, well, so what's that time period look like from when you're like, so 2010, you're saying is when I'm making music, I'm GuttaPriest, and I'm going to evolve from here.
Yeah, basically I started as MC Chaotic, and then I switched to Chronic Doom because that was MC Chaotic, man. That's like that's kind of a lame ass name, you know. And I thought it was cool.
Where you get all these inspirations for these incredible?
I don't know, man. I just thought, hey, this would be a cool name, and then
Yeah.
I wrote it out for one EP. Then I was like, nah, I can't do that. I'm gonna think of something else. Thought of Chronic Doom. Rode that out for several years, and when I came back, you know, and not to get too far off track, but there's a reason why I switched my name, because
What is that?
I feel like my earlier music was more like it was more about like mental illness, you know, depression, you know, drug abuse, you know, the shit that I was really dealing with hard at the time, and I didn't. I guess like I kind of killed that character off because I was trying to kill that part of me off at the same time, you know.
So in other words, you're getting sober.
You can say that because I still smoked, you know. I still smoked, I still drank, but I wasn't fucking with any of the other shit, you know.
Yeah. No hard drugs.
Yeah, nothing too heavy, you know. Occasional mushrooms, you know, stuff like that. But I guess another thing that happened, and I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but
Yeah, go ahead.
so I did my very first show in 2010, and it was at a bar that is surprisingly a judge owned it, like a local judge owned the bar.
No way.
Yeah, and I got the gig because my homie actually sold him weed. So
The judge.
catch that one. Yeah, the judge. Well, we get the gig. Everything's going good.
Right.
One of our homeboys has his girl with him. They're skinny kids, man. I'm talking like, mind you, we were all in our 20s, early 20s at the time. You know, some of us were 19. These kids together, you know, weren't even like 200 pounds, dude. They were small, skinny kids. You know, they were, they were 19, 20 years old, but they were small, you know. And it's hot here, bro. Like, it's hot. Like, I'm talking 100 degrees, 98 degrees.
How hot was it today?
Today actually was I think in the high 60s, low 70s. So it's cooling down, but this is our winter. That's it. That's what we get.
Yeah. Today
Unfortunately.
is December 4th, 2024, approximately 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm in Denver, Colorado, an hour behind. We had around 50, high 50s, lower 60s. So we're seeing about a 10-degree difference in what you just stated there.
Actually, I looked at it right now. We're looking at 66 right now, and it's nighttime.
Ah, shit.
So, yeah.
It's well, shit. I just looked at mine now. It's 39 degrees right now.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. During the day, sun's out. We're looking at. I mean, this week we were looking at the 80s, low
Homie's
80s.
cooking.
Yeah. So in that venue, it was downtown. Downtown are old buildings, bro. It's historical buildings. These buildings were up shit since like obviously I want to say maybe early 20s,
Are you gonna be doing more videos than these scenarios you're talking about here?
Videos?
Yeah, and those older buildings. That'd be
Oh
great.
yeah. I mean, those older buildings, they're all getting renovated, and they're getting like the mayor started like the ex-mayor actually started like giving his homies like the hookup and shit, and they're starting to kind of like. And I don't like throwing the word around because to me it's like I don't know, but gentrifying is basically what they're doing.
Oh, even the Rio is getting
Yeah,
gentrified.
yeah. And
Lord, have
I hate using that
mercy.
word because it's been used so much that it's like
But it's really happening, so you have to
yeah,
use the word because what other word could it be? I mean, it happened to my own neighborhood. I watched it
yeah,
happen. I couldn't do shit about it. I tried to stop it.
yep,
But my little voice, no matter how big or fat I am and got in the room, I was not heard.
yeah, yeah. No, I
And
mean, there's tons of people trying to stop him, but the mayor, he was really into basically kind of like bending the rules for his friends and getting them into these old buildings and then allowing them to pass code, newer code with their new construction that those buildings weren't up to code, but basically he would let them pass and they would all, it's pretty fucked. I mean, that's everywhere though. We all know this.
right.
But these buildings don't really have central air. They don't have, anything. This one didn't even have windows. It had like wooden shutters that would close, and that's it.
Oh man,
And
all right, fun. You're
basically, it had to have been like 100 and some degrees that day. It was hot as fuck, for lack of a better word. And they were drinking vodka straight out of the bottle, and it was not
oh.
cooled. It was just hot vodka.
Yeah.
She overheated, and
Oh.
So when she overheated, the sound guy went to the bar. And by the way, they didn't have a liquor license,
Oh
so they were
God.
like they basically only served coffee, but it was BYOB.
BYOB. And this is in
Yes,
Rio with the
Rio, yeah.
mayor. With the mayor.
No, well, this is the judge's venue, by the
The
way.
judge. The judge. Okay. The
Yeah,
judge.
so
Gotcha.
the judge isn't there, but his sound guy goes, grabs some ice, and starts rubbing it on the girl's chest.
Oh
Right.
no. Cooling
Then
her
he
down.
starts kind of sliding down a little bit and trying to cop a feel. Now, mind you, she's
All
drunk.
right.
She's like kind of all fucked up.
Hey, the titties are hot.
Her boyfriend got up and started throwing down. Mind you, I was in the middle of performing, so I
Oh
know he can
no.
handle his shit. I know he can fight. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not going to get off the stage. I'm performing, so I finished
Yeah,
my
we're busy.
set. Basically, he got wind from one of the baristas who freaked out that
Fucking baristas.
basically my music caused a full-on brawl, and that I was just pure anger and rage in all my music. And basically he told his friend who, and I'll name this motherfucker because fuck him, but
Fuck
his
'em.
name is Erasmo Castro. He's been running for mayor for God knows how long here. He's never going to win because he's a piece of shit. But all that aside, basically this guy used to have a page, and mind you, this is back in 2010, 2011 era. Facebook wasn't massive like it is now, where people have millions of followers. Back then, 100,000 was, pretty nice. This guy had a page called Brownsville Cheeseman. Now that's a city I'm in, Brownsville, right?
Okay.
And Brownsville Cheeseman in Spanish is obviously like gossip.
Right.
His page was made up completely out of car crashes, fights, people drunk driving, people doing this, doing that. He wrote an article about me basically saying that I was fucking the devil, dude. Like he was saying that
Where is
my
this
music,
article?
yeah, like he was saying my music causes people to fight, that nobody should allow me at their venues. because I'm gonna cause damage, and that the valley doesn't need someone like me in it.
Oh
And
man.
mind you, I just started making music, bro. Like, this was my first show ever. From that point forward, I was having trouble finding shows. Nobody wanted to fuck with me. Nobody wanted to book me.
Where do I find this article?
I wish I knew. I wish I would have saved it. Shit.
Yeah, I'm
Because I
like,
didn't
this
even
would
know
be
it.
dope.
I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know what happened until my homie that got me the gig told me, A, he got fucking fired, and B, there was an article written about me. So he pulled it up on this dude's page, and it was a doozy, man. Like, he was going hard on me for no reason, and this is going back to why I changed my name and everything, is because I started getting pissed off because it was getting really hard for me. I saw other people that started after I started excelling further, not only because I made what I make in music,
Right.
and they make what everybody wants to hear type shit,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the opportunity to perform like they did. I didn't have the opportunities to get interviews with local places or nothing. And I started getting mad, and I did the dumb shit, man. I started lashing out, on social media. I started, talking shit to people and just calling everybody fucking stupid. And you know what? I still stand by it. They're fucking idiots, right? But you don't say that. You know what I mean? You don't say that. You
Yeah.
you keep that part to yourself, and you just try to take it in stride. Well, I wasn't as I guess as tactful or charismatic as I feel I am now. I didn't
Yeah.
have the same head on my shoulders. And I would love to blame it all on that article. But you know what? I didn't make it any better for myself. And like I say in all the interviews that I've had lately, I take full accountability, man. I fucked myself. I was in a bad spot, and I made it worse. I dug a hole deeper than I already was in.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of leave it all behind. So after that 5 year break, I was gonna quit making music and everything, dude. I was still writing, I was still recording, but I was just so frustrated, just tired of it all, just tired of sitting there and scrolling and watching it all unfold. So I left, and when I came back in 2018, I finished the last album that I was supposed to finish because I had promised. I believe it was going to be my sixth album. I had already put out. I had already put out 5 albums, and I want to say like 3 or 4 EPs.
Wow. You
And
you
in
had
that last,
listed
what was that?
9 albums and countless singles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's including the new ones, and the new
Incredible.
one.
Well, out of those, I mean, what do you feel best represents your artistic journey and why?
Shoot, man. Back then, it's why it's real hard because back then it was so different. But back then,
Yeah.
I would definitely say recommended overdose was. Yeah, that's you can find it on SoundCloud. It's not on streaming services because it's all old shit. It's all under Chronic Doom. Um, but if I were to say now, I still think Nine Circles is a shit, man. Like, I think because I based it off of Dante's Inferno, but I took it into more of a modern day interpretation. And not only did I tell the story from perspective of those that are in the hell,
Right.
but those that are going to that hell, and myself as, I guess you could say as Dante, exploring these hells. So there's 3 different perspectives in that album, and you kind of get a good feel for what's going on, and I just liked it. It was hard as hell personally for me to write that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what does the creative process look like when you do something like that?
I just researched, man. I researched because, dude, think about this.
Yeah.
Like, there are like 3 levels of hell that that they're like the same damn thing. You know, like treachery and heresy. It's like, what the fuck is the difference? You know what I mean? They're damn near the same thing.
What's the difference?
So,
Enter the dark world of GuttaPriest horrorcore's rising force. Known for his haunting beats and chilling lyrics, GuttaPriest takes you deep into the shadows with raw, unfiltered storytelling. From underground anthems to dark visions, his music pushes the boundaries of horror and hip-hop. Ready to face the play? Follow GuttaPriest now and experience the madness. Available on all streaming platforms. Hashtag Spread the Plague.
but yeah, I had to kind of distinguish them and do a lot of research.
Difference? What's the difference?
Well, I mean, treachery was like heresy is like speaking falsehoods, and treachery is like denial, I guess, in some sense.
Okay.
And see, the other reason I went with that is because, you know, I grew up in like a hyper religious household where like I didn't even know there was any other music other than Christian music till I was like 12 years old.
I understand.
Yeah,
Jesus
I had to
was
like
my first superhero.
I had to Anne Frank a fucking radio to listen to the rock station down here.
Oh dang.
Like I seriously had to hide it, man.
So it was like strict.
Yeah, like I mean, I got into Pokemon like every kid, right? But when my dad found it, he broke the game, burned the cards, all that shit. So I had to like, and that's just because I don't know if you remember around that time they were doing like a lot of stuff like, oh, don't use this toothpaste because it supports gay marriage, or don't do. I don't know if you remember that shit or if you were ever involved in that, but like some churches were going all out like. Pokemon is the devil. They were saying something about Buddha or some shit. I don't remember, dude. Like it was insane.
Pokemon was the devil.
Yeah, because God didn't create those creatures. It's like, dude, it's a fucking cartoon, bro.
Cartoons been around for a long time.
Yeah, did God make Mickey Mouse? Like Jesus Christ, like what the hell? You know what I mean? Like it's insane, dude.
What is that? What does that got to do with anything with the cartoons?
Right.
So,
But it was rough, you know, and man, you know, my favorite thing is Halloween. You know, I love Halloween. I only got to go trick or treating one time in my life, and it was when I was like 3. That sucks ass, dude.
and you can remember back to that one year when you were 3.
Yeah, because I was dressed like a Ninja Turtle.
What's your age right now?
35.
35. That's a lot of years.
Oh yeah.
What the heck? Why didn't you ever take yourself trick or treating when you were like in your teenage years?
I was too busy doing drugs.
You're
Every
doing
day
some
was
other
trick or
type of
treat,
trick or
man.
treating.
Yeah, dude. Every day was a trick or treat. I didn't know what I was gonna get.
And did that influence? I mean, was that influenced by the surroundings? Was that the time in Chicago or out in Texas?
That was out in New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yep. And my aunt actually is the one that got me into horror, dude, because she used to sneak, you know, horror movies into my dad's house. And my dad was in the Marine Corps, right? So she would take care of me while he was out because he was, you know, fighting the war, you know.
Was that why you
was
moved
the
around
Gulf
so
War.
much? Because of the
Yeah.
military?
No, actually, no. Well, yeah and no. So basically,
Also because you're a badass kid?
no. Well, my dad. Well, you know, speaking of that, I actually did like beat the shit out of some kid in like preschool or something like that, and I got kicked out. But my dad was at the war. You know what happens when dudes go to war? You know their wives cheat on them.
Right.
So he came back and things got rough, got nasty. They divorced. He actually got custody, which is insane because you know how it is. You know, usually the mother gets custody, but
All right.
because I guess of the infidelity and him being in the military, they gave him custody. And he moved to that city I was telling you about outside of Chicago. And I guess how they met was they were next door neighbors. That's how my parents met.
Okay.
And when she needed to leave, because in 1992 or 3, you can, you know, I don't know the exact year. I think it was 92 or 93. There was a military tax cut, and they released basically a majority of the military because they didn't need them anymore, kind of. And my dad was one of them because he wasn't close enough to retiring, but he wasn't new enough to where they could still pay him the low wage. I don't know if you know that military, like low ranks, get paid like Burger King wages, bro. It's like crazy.
No way. Yeah, I
But
don't know.
yeah, it's insane. But
That's
they
horrible.
basically cut out the middle section
Right.
to save money, and he got honorably discharged. And we lost our house because we were living on base, and we ended up having to move. So he moved back with his mom, and she ended up moving back with her mom, and they ended up next door again.
No way.
Yeah. So, arguments, and then he's like, well, what's the furthest place I can get away? That's where I'm at.
Up next, we're unleashing another banger from the dark side. This one's raw, heavy, and hits where it hurts. From GuttaPriest's vault of horrorcore heat, here's Damage available now on all streaming platforms. You're tuned in to the Underground Nation podcast. Crank it up and feel the impact.
That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Physically or lyrically, you get slaughtered. Step into me, control, delete your history while burning down your family tree. Collecting skulls to hold my ankle, writing out this verse of blood. I said it before, I'll say it again. I got no love, so I get no love. Now I'm in the club, wearing a mask and bloody gloves, sipping on a cocktail of formaldehyde and Cuban rum. Another glass, now stir it with a human thumb. Leave that shit inside so I can have a snack when the drink is done. Bitches staring at me, don't I look like a lot of fun? Till I'm sprinting over to a screaming out the run, bitch run. I don't use a gun, I like to make things personal. Customize your face with my unique set of skills and arsenal. These blades are versatile, cut so clean and visceral. Dice you into pieces and reduce you back to minerals. Cook you down and eat you like a savage. Better grab some flex tape, cause that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage.
You can't get further than that. You're south
Nope.
as your south could go.
Not without going to Mexico, you can't get further.
Yeah, that's south as America could get.
Yep.
Shit. So
Yep.
so now you're releasing GuttaPriest. What does GuttaPriest symbolize to you, and how does it reflect with all of this you just explained, your outlook on life and music?
I guess it was just like kind of like searching for I guess an identity, especially in the horrorcore space. Like I said, I was Chronic Doom for many years. When I came back, I was in a group called Results May Vary with my homie All Zen Ninja, and I went by Damp Sage at the time.
Okay.
Then after that, I was Hollow. So before I was GuttaPriest, I was Hollow, and that's where I released a good section of what you hear now was under that old name. But there was a problem where there was too many Hollows. There was Hollow Cove, Hollow this, The Hollow. So many different artists with that name.
It was almost like Savage. So many
Yeah.
different savages.
Yeah, so to me, I needed to find something unique and something that kind of played a role in myself. Because Hollow I picked for a reason, because it's empty. Because when something, dies, it's no more. The soul leaves the body. You know what I mean? You're empty. You're a husk. So after Chronic Doom died, he became Hollow. You see what I mean? That's what it was. The transition was.
Is this becoming a comic book?
It could be.
It
I
sure
actually
sounds
have
like
a
one.
bobblehead.
It sure
I
sounds
don't know
like
if you
one.
can see my camera or not.
I don't see your camera.
Is it off?
It is.
Oh shit. Let me see if I can turn it on. How about now?
I see you. I see you now.
You see that?
What is this?
It's actually because in the song Gluttony, I reference a cereal called Bloody Bunches of Throats.
Bloody
So I got a little,
bunches of throats.
and
This
then
is
free knife inside. Now with extra throats.
this is incredible.
Yeah. So basically, the whole hollow thing, it meant something to me. But then I was like, well, what can I do that'll still mean something to me, right?
Right.
And I went off and decided I didn't know the fucking camera was off this whole time, dude. But
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, basically, I went with GuttaPriest because it's kind of like I guess a double meaning, gutta priest, gut a priest kind of thing, and also gutta as in gutter priest, like a priest that preaches in the slums in the gutter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
And
what
it's
I
kind
took
of
from it.
yeah, it's kind of a double play on it. Um, and I feel like it kind of goes with my history. Like I still know and I still respect people. Any religion you want to have, I respect it. It's
Yeah.
what you want. It's your
That's right.
choice to do that.
To each their own.
But it kind of it shines a light on that part of my life, and you know what I've become or what I've chose to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I mean, having influences like from East Coast and boom bap type hip hop, and I can only imagine what was your influence in the Chicago area. What drew you to stick with horrorcore
I mean,
to
once I first heard
express yourself?
when I first heard horrorcore in probably like 2004, 2005, when I first started listening to, like I said, ICP, Twisted,
Yeah.
start like it's tripped out, man. Because once I heard some, like I just went down this rabbit hole, man. Like I found low key, gruesome, necro. I just started kind of going all over the place. I heard of Razakel at the time.
Yeah.
All those other guys. What was the other dude? Satanic, and then that whole Psycho Sam shit went down, and yeah, the Bloody Ruckus thing, and like I got so like enveloped in the world, Dark Half, just like, and then Scum, of course, Smalls One. I learned about everything because I was listening to it so much, and I always wrote poetry growing up, wrote songs when I was a kid, and I was like, well, let me try this. And basically, since 2010 till today, I've been doing it. So that's that's I can't see myself making any other kind of music because it just doesn't make sense. I'm not a gangster. I don't sell shit. I'm not gonna go pop a cap in your ass, or anything like that. So why am I gonna write about it? You know what I mean? I'm gonna write about something that's more. I won't say artistic, man. It's just like there's so much more you can do with horrorcore than
Right.
you can with like any other genre of rap.
So, how do you decide where to draw the line between like shock value and meaningful storytelling?
Well, for me, it's not. I guess it's not really about the shock value as much. It's more so about telling a horror story. You know,
Okay.
I won't go as far as some artists do, but I don't blame them. That's what they want to do. That's your art. You do what you want
Right.
to do. Me, I like the storytelling aspect. I like sometimes I'll throw a song in there that's just about chopping shit up.
Sure.
But I like for example the EP Diary of an Insomniac. Diary of an Insomniac is an entire story of a I guess you could say a killer that cannot sleep because there's these voices that keep telling him to kill. And unless he does what they say, they won't let him sleep. They just continuously talk. That's Huckman's Diary of an Insomniac. He cannot sleep.
Ouch.
Yeah, and then I made a single after Diary of an Insomniac called Voices, and Voices is actually a prequel. So if you listen to Voices first, it's like that killer's first kill,
Right.
and then it goes into Diary of an Insomniac.
Wow, this is incredible. So, how do you see the horror elements in your music connecting to deeper truths or shared human experiences?
I guess
Discover the rawest artists, exclusive interviews, album reviews, and breaking stories from hip hop, horrorcore, metal, and more. No filters, no fluff. Just the real, straight from the underground. Stay ahead of the game. Subscribe now at undergroundnation.com. Join the movement. Be the culture.
I mean, the only shared human experience that comes out of my music really is the love of horror, man. Like, if somebody likes, watching movies, they might
Right.
like listening to stories, I listen to horror podcasts, watch horror movies. I envelop myself in that. I mean, shit, when I was younger, I only listened to rock, right? Rock and roll. Because that was the first thing I could find, and I didn't really like commercial rap at the time.
Right.
Closest things to commercial rap that I really liked was like Outkast, Wu-Tang Clan.
Sure.
I mean, that was mainly because of my uncle. He was the one that turned me on to that. But other than that, I wasn't really into it. So I like new metal, I like the general, like even classic rock. My favorite band is Pink Floyd. I even got dude, I got a shitload of stuff. But it's just really tripped out because I went from listening to this wide variety of music until now, where even like the punk rock that I listen to, it's all horror punk. You know, I listen to horror rap, horror punk. I still listen to all my shit that I like, but
Yeah.
my prime genres, it's all horror because it's just that's what I'm connected to. That's what I enjoy. And there's tons
Right.
of people that enjoy it. As for outlooks and everything, I mean, everybody gets pissed off, bro. Like that was a
Yeah.
big problem. I had anger issues when I was younger. I had
Yeah.
like a lot
We
of anger
all
issues.
we all have some anger issues that we're trying to work through.
And sometimes, you know, you say shit. You just say shit. You're not gonna go do it, but you say it because you're fucking mad. And that's kind of what horrorcore is like. You can kind of let it all out. Like beat this dude with a bat. You're not gonna go beat him with a bat. Maybe you will. I mean, who am I to judge?
Right. Absolutely.
But you can say what you want to say. You can do what you want to do.
Absolutely. So, do you see you taking GuttaPriest out of the Rio Valley and maybe going further into other states?
I
Maybe
definitely,
creating
I mean,
tours?
I definitely want
Taking
to.
the story across the freaking globe?
I definitely want to, and I've had a couple people actually like offer some things. Like I don't know if you know Michelangelo Scaro.
I personally do not.
Okay, well he works a lot with like LSP. Like he works with them. He's not signed to them, but he works with them a lot. He does a lot of artwork, different things like that. He does a lot of shows with Insane Poetry and Scum and stuff like that too. He goes on a lot of their little things.
Okay. Sweet.
He's been trying to get me, and he keeps trying and trying and trying to get me to go. But like I said, it takes 9 hours for me to get out of Texas. So then you take that, like let's say for example, if I want to go back to Hammond, for example, if I drive, that's 22 hours just driving, right? Of course, you can try flying. I ain't rich, you know what I mean? So I'd probably have to drive 22 hours out. Let's say I get some time, a week off, one whole day spent driving. Let's say I go on a little tour.
You
So
do a lot of driving.
yeah, it's gonna take some planning, but I definitely need to get the hell out of here because honestly, there's never been like I've done shows, man. I've done shows at the Island. I performed at an anime convention. I performed at the mall here. I performed at skate shops. I've performed in Brownsville, San Benito, and this may not mean anything because you don't know the cities, but Brownsville, San Benito, McAllen, Harlingen, um, virtually the whole lower Rio Grande Valley I've performed in.
Nice.
Even on the island, like I said, I've done so many shows. I used to have regulars every Saturday and Friday night. I had two venues that always had me going back for months.
Right.
But I feel like if I was back where I used to live in Hammond, I mean, that's close to Ohio, that's close to Michigan, that's close to Chicago, that's close to everything, that all these events that are going on all the time, it's close by. The only thing we have here in Texas is like She-Fest. That's
Right.
it, you know. I'm not saying that's not good because I'm pretty sure it's badass, but
Sure.
compared to, the Gathering, compared to Juggle, Ohio, I think Camp Zool is up there. Compared to any of that stuff where you can get like a good crowd, almost guaranteed,
Right.
there's nothing down here like that. So of course, yeah, I'd love to get out of here, but it's just
A work in progress.
yeah, it's definitely something I need to work on. I mean, I have time, I have the leave and everything. It's just a matter of like planning everything out, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with all these showcases that you're mentioning in different cities in Texas and wanting to branch out into other states and get involved in other or possibly bigger festivals, if you will, have you ever had a fan approach you and just share a personal connection to one of your songs? And how does that feedback shape your work today?
So here, I did have a good little group of fans that went to like almost all my shows. But it's really slim down here when it comes to who would be attracted to this type of music.
Right.
But one time, a fan of mine basically came up. I went to a little party after a show and like started crying. The dude started just bawling his eyes out, and he was like, "Man, you don't know how much this song meant to me," and blah blah. And it was a song called "Older and Wiser." And honestly, man, that was off of shit. I want to say that was off of my first EP. So it was no, my second EP. Sorry. So it was after the first three albums. I want to say it was "The Time Will Tell." But yeah, so he approached me about that song "Older and Wiser," and basically that song was basically just about growing up, trying to figure out the world because nobody knows, and it's not till you're older that you realize that not even your fucking parents knew what the fuck was going on, dude. Like you grow up and you're just like a big kid, you got to figure
Right.
everything out,
Right. Right.
and it was basically just growing up in the world, and a lot of us didn't have like a direct parental figure at a certain point in time where a majority of the people that were my fans, their parents weren't even involved in their lives, or they were just kind of like living on their own in like a house with some other guys or whatever. They didn't really have that family, kind of structure,
Right.
and they resonated with it because I came from a broken family. Then of course my dad always worked. So I was basically raising myself, taught myself to cook. I taught myself to clean properly, taught myself how to do everything by myself. And I injected that into my older music, and of course, the mental illness undertones that I would weave into it, talking about my struggles with, being bipolar or, severely depressed, anxiety, panic attacks, the shit that I've been dealing with since I was like 12 years old.
Right.
And like, for example, I don't know if you ever got to hear the song Fresh Psycho, but the line about holding my brother hostage on the side of outside of the road, I actually did that shit. Like when I write a lot of the shit I'm talking about, I'm either translating it or directly, quoting shit that I've done,
Right.
and that was because I had a fucking episode, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it takes a lot of courage to speak those truths and get it out. Especially, like you said, the horrorcore, it kind of gives you that leverage to do so. But how do you say personally? How do you personally reconcile creating such intense or dark art while with maintaining your own mental health and balancing in your everyday life?
I feel like it's more of an outlet, man. Like, you know, when I was younger, I really, and like I said, and I'll always say it, when I was younger, it wasn't that I was hardcore. It's not that I was this Billy badass, it's that I was fucking stupid. I was stupid and I was willing to die for less. You know what I mean? I was willing to go out and do something dumb
Yeah.
or get in a fight with somebody that I knew would probably kill my ass, you know?
Yeah. I can relate to
But
that.
I would do it. I would do it because I didn't think about it. Well, I did think about it, but I didn't care, you know?
Okay.
And as you get older, like I said, you get a little wiser, right?
Yeah.
And you learn, like, hey, man, you know what? Not every hill is a hill to die on. Sometimes you just got to step back and you have your opinion, I have my opinion. And for me, sometimes when I, have an episode or I start getting upset or getting frustrated, and it sucks, bro. It fucking sucks, dude, because, you just kind of snap out of nowhere and everyone looks at you and it's embarrassing, man. Like, it's embarrassing when you just freak the fuck out. Like, and they're like, it's not even that big of a deal, but like, you don't have a choice, like you're pissed. You instantly there's certain things that just piss you the fuck off. And then you just, you start yelling or something. And to me, it's like, you know what? If I write and I focus my energy into, music, I feel like it kind of alleviates some of that pressure.
Yeah.
And instead of
Absolutely.
always being ready to pop,
Oh yeah, it's the best form of therapy you could ask for.
yeah.
So when it comes to future projects, what's the next big idea you're working on currently?
Well, I actually just finished all of the collaborations that I had because I got like a huge influx of collaborations from the Czech Republic. So, like, I have a homie named Sick Mortem. He's a producer from the Czech Republic. And I've worked with him before, and he liked, the stuff I've done. And he told, I guess one of his friends wanted a collaboration internationally with people from the US. So he obviously, he hit me up because I've worked with him. He says, hey, can you get this done? I got it done the same day, sent it back. They loved it.
Nice.
So once that happened, one of his homies hit me up and said, hey, you did a song with so and so. Can you do a song with me? So I did a track with him, and then he told another homie, and that homie. So next thing you know, I had like 6 collaborations to do with those dudes. I knocked them all out. I had
Nice.
recently did one with Mr. Wrong, which is an artist from here. I did one with Scarrow. Um, I just did one right now with that little cipher I was telling you about earlier. And what other ones have I done recently? I can't remember, but I just knocked them all out of the way because I'm working on an EP right now. And it's going to be called Malefactor, which Malefactor is, it is a biblical term, and I used it specifically for its biblical definition. So what it is it's basically someone who's like unforgivable and unrepentant, and they're just a really bad person. And it kind of ties in with me because I feel like I don't know, I had to have done something because I have like this I have like really fucking bad luck, like super bad luck. Prime example, I've bought brand new things straight out of the box. They're fucking broken. It's a continuous thing. It happens enough to where I've noticed it. People around me have noticed it. Bought brand new skateboards. They came broken. Brand new fucking PlayStation 5. Fucking controller was broken. PS4 controller was broken. PS4 Pro controller was broken. So, like, I have pretty bad luck, and I feel like, if karma is a thing, I must be like a really bad person, And I don't feel like I'm a bad person. I feel like I tried to reconcile for a lot of the fucked up things I did when I was younger because I could not control myself,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I got in a lot of fights with people, not physical, sometimes physical, but mainly, vocalized fights. Said a lot of fucked up things, was real dickish when I was younger. And, try to patch everything up because I feel like maybe it's affecting how my life has been, or maybe I just see the negative in a lot of things because of mental illness or something. I don't know, but I feel like I have to be a bad person to have this kind of luck, and basically that's what the album is. It's basically just, if I'm the bad guy, then I will be the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So would you feel in this project, are you exploring any other type of genres or experimenting with anything outside of what you would feel as your comfort zone?
Um,
I'm not
kind
saying
of.
go country or anything.
No, it's not. It's definitely not a huge genre change. I mean, it's still horror elements. It's still hip hop,
Yeah.
but it's got a. I'm taking a different approach to the songwriting. Um, the entire EP is going to be, well, it is already been produced by Sick Mortem, the guy I told you about earlier.
Right.
Um, and I guess there's very little to say about it other than it's going to be targeting topics, not necessarily like death in a sense that you're killing somebody or, murder type stuff. It's handling death like what do you do when you don't get to say goodbye to somebody when they die? You know?
Right.
What if it was your fault and you didn't make the time to do that? That kind of stuff. It's that kind of, it's going to be very dark, but it's not going to be dark in a way that it's very gory or anything. It's going to be dark mentally. It's going to be, so if you can consider some of my music like a slasher, this
Okay.
is like a psychological horror.
Do you feel on a personal level that you find it easy to discuss death?
I do. I feel like it's something that I've kind of accepted as an inevitability. I think everybody can find common ground with death
Oh yeah, I
because
mean, in some way or fashion. So I mean, eventually, we're all going to experience death
yeah, and
in
you
some
still
way.
experience death even if it's not happening to you.
Yeah, and some of us have experienced death at a young age. It
Hmm.
been around us, possibly could have even affected us,
Yep.
or we could have even possibly been in a position where we almost lost our own life from making dumbass choices, like you were talking about.
Yep.
I've been in those situations, so
Yeah.
I definitely feel I'm one of those individuals that find it easy to talk about death and the different scenarios that it could bring. And I feel that it's important for families to do that.
Yeah.
Just on a personal note, because if some shit goes down, you got to have a plan in place. You don't want to be stuck trying to figure things out. And at one of the worst days of your life, you don't want to be stuck trying to figure it out
Yep.
when you should, took the
Should have
time
some sort
to.
of contingency or something
Yeah,
in
yeah,
place. So it's
yeah.
it's kind of like a fire drill. It's kind of like what are you gonna do in the case of a hurricane or a
Right.
tornado? What are you gonna do? So that everyone at least has an idea of what to expect. And see, that's why I'm saying if you really break it down, I feel like even horrorcore itself, the music, the genre, it it kind of puts death in the forefront. You know what I mean? And I don't know if maybe that's why I have the outlook on it. Like, I'm not trying to say that if someone died close to me, I wouldn't be affected, because of course you're going to be
Of course.
affected. That's
Oh, of
what's going to
course.
happen.
Of course.
But,
But being able to express the emotion.
and being able to think about it, and having it brought up over and over versus somebody who rarely ever thinks of death, and then it happens and they're like, oh shit.
Right. It's a bad reality smack in the face.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, everyone is going to experience it, and it's kind of one of those common grounds as humans that we have that are, there's no arguing about it. People can argue what's going to happen afterwards, but no one can argue about the fact that it's going to happen,
Right,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely. And it really takes individuals like you that have that mindset to open the eyes to, like the fans you were saying, that open up to you about the certain songs that really stuck to them. It's a huge. I'm sure it's a great feeling to know that you had an effect on someone's life, and even though you made hard decisions in your past, and I know you're saying you may be dealing with some karma and shit, but if you could change one perception that people have about you as GuttaPriest, the artist, what would it be?
Coming up next, a track that'll send chills down your spine. Straight from the mind of GuttaPriest. This one's dark, eerie, and haunting. Brace yourself for the Possessed available now on all streaming platforms. You're listening to the Underground Nation podcast. Don't say we didn't warn you.
I'm possessed. Wicked, wretched heathen, I'm the one that you detest. I'm bringing horror back, so fuck the fakes and fuck the rest. There really ain't no question, gotta prove that I'm possessed. I'm possessed. Wicked, wretched heathen, I'm the one that you detest. I'm bringing horror back, so fuck the fakes and fuck the rest. There really ain't no question, gotta prove that I'm possessed. I'm possessed. No point in talking trash, you know I always pass the test. I'll cut your bitch's tits off and I'm making me a vest. I'll take this razor blade and drag it right across your neck. I'm a mess. Always bloodied up and in the finest human flesh. Let's bury the hatchet in the middle of your chest. Unapologetic, that means I got no regrets. When I take the butcher knife and I start stabbing you to death. Check my reputation cause I'm certified fresh. Unless you smell the bodies cause I can't control the stench. Leading you to slaughter like my last name was Koresh. But either way you're dead, so doesn't matter who to guess. I'm taking everything you got down to your last breath. Chop you into pieces, cook you down and then ingest. I'm fucked up in the head and I sincerely must confess. I'm possessed. Wicked, wretched heathen, I'm the one that you detest. I'm bringing horror back, so fuck the fakes and fuck the rest.
If I could change one perception,
Yeah, that people have about you right now.
let me see. And this may sound, like I said, it may sound fucked up, it may sound dick. But
Thanks for the warning.
yeah. It's because like I guess there's a perception that I'm like that. Man, how do I say this? Because I do care, especially when it comes to like my fans, my friends, family. I do care. I do deeply care, and if they ever need, they really need to reach out and talk to me about some real shit, I'm there, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not. The one perception I want to change is that I'm not available for everything all the time. And that goes for my family, that goes for I'm talking personal life and musician life type shit, because I feel like, I have uncles and aunts and parents and stuff that that call me when they have a problem.
Right.
And I try to be there. I try to help, but sometimes it's a lot for me because I've got my job, I've got my home life where my grass needs to get cut. I'm just
sure.
a regular dude, you know what I mean? My dishes need to get washed, my house needs to get cleaned. I got to do my shit, wash my laundry. I got to go to work, and then I have basically a second full-time job making music where honestly I don't get paid. And the thing is I don't do it to get paid. I do it because I personally am worried about the future of the genre. I personally feel like it could die. It could die. What happens when ICP goes? What happens because they're not immortal, bro. What happens when Twisted goes? These are things people don't like to think about. But what happens? I know there's LLE. I know there's, I know there's She. I know there's LSP. But what happens after the big ones go? We need musicians, and we need to accept new musicians. I'm not saying this because I'm a musician. I'm saying We
Right,
need
right.
those musicians to keep this subculture alive, because you know what? Just like punk rock, everyone says punk rock's dead. It's not, because there's still bands that are kicking ass, but it evolves. You know, it evolves, and you lose the initial soul behind the movement. And I'm worried about that. That's my main concern. Because like I say all the time, if I was in it to get paid, why the fuck would I do horrorcore? You know what I mean? Like, why would I do the one genre that most people fucking hate?
Right, yeah.
I'm doing it because I love the genre. I love horror. I love the community. Like I said, the family era, bro. Like there was the feeling was so like crazy. When everything was just together.
Everything was clicking together. I know it. I know that feeling. So let's say, what do you want listeners to remember most about your body of work when they look back on it, let's say years from now? I don't know.
That I was a fucked up person, and that I had some fucked up ideas, but they sounded good on tape.
They sounded good on tape.
And I just aged myself, didn't I?
Yep. They sound good on tape. Yeah, that makes sense, man. So it sounds like you overcame a lot of challenges. You were able to branch out, get back into showcases after that first show that kind of went haywire and got some articles written about you. Would have been really cool for you to have a copy of
Tell
that.
me
But
about it. It's one of my biggest regrets. I regret a lot of things in my life, but if I could go back and change one thing, that would probably have been it.
yeah, that's wild. That's wild shit. It would definitely been cool to fucking see that. But with right now and developing the new EP and trying to, like you said, get involved in more bigger showcases. What challenges are you currently dealing with as a musician?
Um, Shit, man. Probably, probably health more so than anything else. For a while, I know we talked a lot about, near death and all this other stuff like that, right? So I've had a couple of near death experiences in my life. I can't say for sure that this was one, but about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I went to a doctor because I was having trouble breathing, right? And they said I had an enlarged heart, and I started losing weight and doing all the stuff they told me to do, and went back in, and they had given me some steroids, and it was just, how it is. You go to the doctor and they don't get it right, and then you got to go back and back. I went to, a cardiologist. I went to fucking lung doctors. Dude, I went to all these doctors. They couldn't figure it out. And basically what happened was my heart got swollen. Like there's the pleural sac around the heart that it's like a cavity that protects your heart from infection.
Right.
Started filling with liquid. And because it started filling with liquid, it was putting pressure on my lungs. And mind you, this is the first time
I don't
I've ever
sound
talked
fun.
about this. This is the first time I've ever talked about this on any interview or anything, because I don't want, pity. I don't want people to feel bad for me or anything. I've always been the type that's like, yo, you know what? Despite anything, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, you know? And basically, what happens is it's not supposed to be a reoccurring thing, because apparently it's not that uncommon for people to experience. It's called, the hell was it? It wasn't the pleurisy, because the pleurisy, I think, is with your lung. I think it was called pericarditis. That's what it's called, pericarditis. And it's
That's quite
it's
the
actually
word.
something. It's actually something that does happen to people, but it happens and then it goes away and then they're done with it. For some reason, that did not happen with me. So they gave me my steroids, antibiotics, and then about a year later, it came back.
Oh shit.
And I know when it comes back because I feel like I can't fucking breathe, and my breaths are super shallow. I kind of breathe like, because my lungs cannot expand enough.
Oh.
And it's very uncomfortable. It hurts like a motherfucker when you lay on your back. Like it feels like there's something kneeling on your chest.
What?
And it's not a heart attack. And it's not, dude, I've had so many EKGs. I've had so much blood work and lung doctors. And they said I'm fucking in good health. Considering I'm a smoker, they're saying I'm in perfectly good health.
Fucking
But
cigarettes.
the thing is that that kept happening. And it happened 1 year, then it happened a year later, then it happened 6 months later, then it happened 3 months later, and it started until it got to the point where it was happening. It happened. I took my medication 2 weeks later. It was a 2 week span of medication, and it happened again as soon as I stopped taking the medication, dude. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And you know what? I'll be happy to say that it has been, I want to say, almost a year since the last time it happened.
Right.
So hopefully it's gone.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's like
yeah,
you're a relief, bro. Good.
yeah,
Glad
it
you,
is,
glad you got that.
because if you listen to Nine Circles, I was rapping with that shit going on,
No
and you could
way.
hear the shortness of breath in some of the songs where I couldn't, I couldn't do a full 8 bar, 16 bars in one take because I couldn't keep my breath. I couldn't get enough air, you know.
No way.
So you could hear it like specifically in the song. I want to say it was Greed. The last line, you can hear me kind of like stressing the word out, trying just to get it out. Because when I first started making music, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything. So I would always do my songs in one take. And I'm talking, I would do the hook, I would do the verse, I would do the hook again, and I would do the verse, and then I would do the hook again, all in one take. Because I didn't
No
know how to
way.
punch in, I didn't know how to do anything. So I would do the
I'm just
songs
doing it.
hundreds of times until I got them as good as I possibly could,
Oh my
all the
god,
way through.
look at Nintendo game back in '92.
Yeah, exactly. You can't save. You can't. Once your 3 lives are up, bro, that's it. You know.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Ah, it's
So
wild.
yeah, that's the way I started, man. I started out with a website back then. Closest thing to it now would be like what's that website that people use? BandLab.
Band Lab.
Yeah, it was like that, except it used to be called Jam Glue. And Jam
Jam
Glue,
glue. Jam
yeah,
glue.
it's defunct, man. It got closed down. I actually couldn't actually get the stems for like the first 5 songs I made because they were on there and they only let you download them like entire, like whole songs.
Wow.
Thing that was cool is that you could type in whatever you felt like if you put in an emotion or a type of beat,
Right.
it would give you a list of beats that people made on the website, and you could just click and drag them into your project. Just record over them. They had sound effects. You just type in a sound effect. It was there on the drop down. You click and drag it into your project. Like it was a super cool website.
Wow. Well, sucks you couldn't keep the shit you were creating there.
Yeah.
But man, thank you for sharing your trials and triumph with some health issues.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
that's the biggest.
Like I said, I'm glad you got a year of relief. I hope it doesn't come back and affect you with your growth with music and personal development and everything you have going on. It sounds like you're on the right track and doing some good things, man. So again, thank you for taking time with us tonight, talking about it and opening up with us and sharing what you have upcoming and your past that's developed you into the artist you are today of GuttaPriest.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Before we sign off, is there anything you would like to say directly to your fans or anyone who's been following your journey?
Well, honestly, the first and foremost, anybody who's given me the time of day, I appreciate it just because of the fact that, we're all people, and I'm just a person. And for someone to take the time to give to a person, that's, the time is the only resource you can never get back. You lose money, you can get more money. But
Yeah.
time, you lose time, you can't get that shit back. So giving me 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever the fuck, that's time from your life. That's time from your kids. That's time from your family. that's, to me, that's like the ultimate sacrifice the person can give, is their time. So I appreciate that first and foremost. You know, I hope, directly to the fans, I hope that what I put out is good enough. You know, I hope that I'm doing justice to the scene. I hope that I'm doing justice to the greats. I don't care what happens. The legends are the legends. You always pay homage to the legends, and the best way to do that is to create something and strive for the greatness that they've created. So that's one thing about me is that, no matter what, I'm always going to be my biggest critic. I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah,
going to
sure.
say, I'll listen to a song, I'll make a song, I'm tired of it by, 2, 3 days later, it's not fresh anymore. Before it even comes out, it's not fresh to me. And I'm like, damn, dude, that fucking sucks. That song sucks.
Oh
And
man.
it's not until like 2 years later that I'm like, hey, you know what? That song wasn't that bad. You know, like that's how it is with me. But yeah, that's what I have to say to fans, man. Is that if you give me your time, I hope that I'm earning it and giving you something worth your time. Anything else, basically, just to shout out if I can, Yoshi, my producer, he was the one that produced all of Nine Circles for me. He's the one that produced Diary of an Insomniac, so many of my singles. Um, Grim Ross, producer that worked with me on one of the bigger projects I've ever done, which was the Filth Breed Volume 1. And shout out to all my homies, fucking Philo. I don't have no homies, huh? Damn, I got no more homies, man. I lost them all. All of them are dead, man, for sure. Like, no bullshit. But
R.I.P.
Philo's still there.
R.I.P. to our loved ones that we lost, man.
Yeah,
We lost a lot of greats, that's for sure. And,
yeah,
I know I'm doing a lot of great people that you would have loved to have met, and I'm sure vice versa. But
yeah.
GuttaPriest, it's been an honor to speak with you tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your life stories and what you have upcoming. We're definitely gonna look forward to it. Make sure you subscribe to GuttaPriest on
Yeah, appreciate
all
it.
streaming platforms. And is there a way we could connect with you, like on an email, newsletters? We can get direct sources from you as an artist.
I have no newsletters as of right now, but I mean, honestly, Google, man. If you Google, like, I actually got my SEO in check after I switched from Hollow to Gutta Priest. So now you can literally Google Gutta Priest. It's
Okay.
all one word, Gutta Priest. And you'll be able to find all of my streaming services, all of my social media. Everything's right there, first page for you. Like, it's easiest way. I do probably need to do some newsletter stuff, but I have yet to really delve into it. I
Oh yeah, man.
basically,
I mean I always encourage artists to do self try to do self or direct to consumer, if you will.
yeah,
Just because streaming, man, you can get all the streams in the world and it doesn't pay out as much that artists should be getting credited for. So
yeah,
I'm a big hitter on direct to consumer and fans that actually still purchase downloads from the artist and CDs and stuff like that. I feel
yeah.
is an amazing thing because you always have that collector memorabilia from
I
an
actually
artist.
print my own CDs. Like I've got
Yeah,
I've got CDs,
see,
like actual CDs.
see, and you're able to see. So that's why I'm like, oh man, if you're collecting emails right now, definitely send it to Gutter Priest because I definitely want you to stay up to date with everything he has coming upcoming because yes, this is just the starting. I mean, I know you've gone through a lot of shit, but this is just the start for you.
Yeah, for real. I mean, 14 years, man, and honestly,
And
since March, man, the growth I've had since March has been more than I've had in the 13 other years that I've been making music because
oh
I
yeah,
I stepped outside of the valley, you know.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. And Underground Nation magazine and Underground Nation podcast are going to be here to support you all the way.
I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap from Underground Nation magazine, where the underground lives, breathes, and thrives. Stay tuned for more exclusive interviews, raw stories, and unfiltered voices from the scene. Visit undergroundnation.com to subscribe and never miss a beat. Until next time, stay real, stay raw, stay underground.